not even human. She married a monster. Can you break the pact?
Freedom always has a price.
What did you do?
I freed myself.
You're not even human, I screamed the words before I could stop myself, my hand trembling as I held up the ornate gold mirror. The reflection staring back at me from behind my shoulder wasn't my husband's face. It was something else entirely. Something with scales shimmering where skin should be, eyes that glowed like embers in the dim bathroom light. Chidi stood frozen in the doorway of our master bathroom, his tailored suit perfectly pressed, his expression unreadable. For 3 years, I'd shared a bed with this man. 3 years of waking up next to him, kissing him, building a life in our luxury penthouse in Victoria Island, Lagos. 3 years of believing I knew everything about the billionaire who'd swept me off my feet at my sister's wedding. Adanna, he said softly. His voice that same smooth baritone that had convinced me to leave my accounting job and become his wife. Put the mirror down. Don't you dare tell me what to do. My voice cracked as tears streamed down my face. The pink silk nightgown I wore suddenly felt like a costume, like everything in this marble bathroom was part of an elaborate stage set. What are you? What are you? He took a step forward and I stumbled backward, nearly tripping over the gold towel rack. The mirror slipped from my fingers, clattering against the pristine white tiles. When I looked up at him, really looked at him without the mirror, I saw only Chidi. Handsome, successful, 35-year-old Chidi Okafor, CEO of Okafor Industries, the man every woman in Lagos wanted. But I'd seen the truth just seconds ago, when I'd picked up that antique mirror from the estate sale in Lekki Market this morning. I'd seen what he really was. You need to calm down, he said, and something in his tone made my blood run cold. It was the same voice he used during business negotiations, the voice that closed billion-naira deals. Not the voice of a husband comforting his terrified wife. What would you do if you discovered your husband wasn't human? Hit like if you've ever felt betrayed and comment where you're watching from. I saw you, I whispered, backing against the wall. In the mirror. Your face. It changed. There were scales in your eyes. That mirror is cursed, Chidi interrupted, his jaw tightening. Where did you get it? Cursed? A hysterical laugh escaped my throat. That's your explanation? The mirror is cursed. Not that my husband is some kind of monster? I am not a monster. His voice dropped dangerously low. And you need to forget what you saw. Forget! I grabbed my phone from the bathroom counter, my hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped it. I'm calling my sister. I'm calling Ngozi right now, and I'm leaving. Chidi moved faster than any human should be able to move. One moment he was by the door, the next he was standing in front of me, his hand wrapped around my wrist. Not painfully, but firm enough that I couldn't pull away. You're not calling anyone, he said quietly. Not until you listen to me. I stared up at him, my heart hammering against my ribs. This close I could smell his cologne, the same expensive scent I'd bought him for his birthday last month. I could see the tiny scar above his left eyebrow from when he'd crashed his first car at 16. He looked exactly like the man I'd married in that beautiful ceremony at the Civic Center, but I knew the truth now. Let go of me, I said, trying to keep my voice steady, or I'll scream so loud the entire building will hear. And tell them what? Chidi's eyes searched mine. That your husband isn't human? That you saw something impossible in a mirror? They'll think you've lost your mind, Adanna. They'll think the stress of being married to me has finally broken you. The casual cruelty of his words hit harder than any physical blow. Because he was right. Who would believe me? Chidi Okafor was Lagos royalty. His family had owned land in Victoria Island for generations. His company employed thousands of people. Politicians and CEOs begged for meetings with him. And I was just Adanna Obi, who'd worked as an accountant at a mid-level firm before becoming Mrs. Okafor. What are you? I asked again, my voice barely a whisper now. Please, just tell me the truth. Something flickered across his face. Was it regret? Sadness? But it disappeared as quickly as it came. I'm your husband. he said, releasing my wrist. That's all you need to know. That's not good enough. I grabbed the mirror from where it had fallen, holding it up between us like a shield. I deserve to know what I married. I deserve... The mirror showed his true face again, scales that shimmered green and gold, like the pythons I'd seen in documentaries about the Niger Delta. Eyes that burned with an otherworldly light. And when he opened his mouth to speak, I saw fangs. I screamed. This time, Chidi didn't try to stop me. He just stood there, watching as I backed toward the bathroom door, the mirror clutched against my chest. You can run, he said softly, and his voice sounded different now, layered as if multiple voices were speaking at once. But you can't leave me, Adanna. You're bound to me in ways you don't understand, in ways that go far deeper than any marriage certificate. Watch me, I spat, fumbling for the door handle behind me. If you walk out that door, Chidi said, his eyes, those terrible glowing eyes in the mirror's reflection, fixed on mine, you'll lose everything. Your family's house that I helped your father buy, your sister's school fees that I've been paying, your mother's medical treatments, everything. I froze, my hand on the cold metal handle. You wouldn't, I breathed. His smile in the mirror was not human. Try me. The mirror slipped from my fingers again, but this time I didn't look back to see where it fell. I was too busy staring at the man I'd married, wondering how I'd been so blind, so stupid, so incredibly naive. Now, Chidi said, his voice returning to that smooth, controlled tone, why don't you come back to bed? We can discuss this rationally in the morning. Rationally? The word tasted like ash in my mouth. There's nothing rational about this. About you. No, he agreed, and for the first time, I heard genuine emotion in his voice. There isn't, but it's the life you chose when you said, I do. And it's the life you're going to keep living unless you want everyone you love to suffer for your curiosity. I stood there in my pink silk nightgown, in our multi-million-naira bathroom with its marble floors and gold fixtures, and I realized I'd made the worst mistake of my life. I'd married a monster, and now I was trapped. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those scales, those glowing eyes, that inhuman face staring back at me from the mirror's reflection. Chidi lay beside me in our king-size bed, breathing slowly and evenly, as if nothing had happened. As if he hadn't just revealed himself to be something that shouldn't exist. As if he hadn't just threatened everyone I loved. The Lagos morning sun filtered through our floor-to-ceiling windows, painting our bedroom in shades of gold. I watched the city wake up below us, cars honking on Amadou Bello Way, street vendors setting up their stalls, the distant sound of generators rumbling to life. Normal people living normal lives, unlike me. You're awake, Chidi said without opening his eyes. I flinched, pulling the covers tighter around myself. Don't talk to me. We need to discuss last night. He sat up, running a hand through his close-cropped hair. In the morning light, he looked completely human, completely normal. The man I'd fallen in love with at my sister's wedding, who'd courted me with flowers and poetry, who'd promised me the world. There's nothing to discuss, I said coldly, except how I'm going to get away from you. Adanna. He reached for my hand, but I jerked away. Something dark flashed in his eyes. Hurt, maybe, or anger. You can't leave. I told you. I know what you told me. I scrambled out of bed, putting distance between us. You'll destroy my family if I go. You'll take away everything. I heard you perfectly clear, you monster. I'm not a monster. Chidi stood slowly, his movements controlled. I'm Ijele. Do you know what that means? I don't care what it means. It means I'm a guardian spirit, he continued as if I hadn't spoken. My people have lived among humans for thousands of years, protecting certain bloodlines, maintaining balance. Your great-grandmother made a pact with my family long before you were born. I stared at him, my mind refusing to process his words. A pact? What kind of pact? Protection in exchange for union. Chidi walked to the window, his silhouette dark against the bright morning sky. Your family would prosper, would be shielded from certain dangers, and in return, when the time came, one of your line would marry one of mine. That's insane! I grabbed my robe from the chair, wrapping it around myself like armor. My great-grandmother died before I was born, She can't make decisions about my life. She already did. He turned to face me, and his expression was almost pitiful. Why do you think your father's business survived when everyone else's failed during the recession? Why do you think your mother's cancer went into remission when the doctor said it was impossible? Why do you think I was at your sister's wedding that day, Adanna? The room seemed to tilt. I grabbed the bedpost to steady myself. You're saying everything. My entire life has been manipulated, so I'd end up married to you? Not manipulated, Chidi said softly. Protected. Guided. Your family has thrived because of our arrangement. Our arrangement? I screamed. I never agreed to anything. I married you because I loved you, because I thought you loved me. I do love you. He took a step toward me. That's what makes this so complicated. I laughed bitterly. Oh, how touching. The snake creature loves his human wife. Should I be flattered? I'm not a snake, he said, a edge of frustration creeping into his voice. The scales you saw, that's just one form. Ijele can appear in many ways. We're shapeshifters, guardians, protectors, not monsters. Then why hide it? I demanded. Why marry me without telling me the truth? Why let me believe you were human if you're so noble and protective? Chidi was quiet for a long moment. Because I wanted you to love me for who I am, not what I am. The raw honesty in his voice almost broke through my anger. Almost. Well, congratulations, I said bitterly. You got your wish. I fell in love with a lie. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. I grabbed it, seeing my sister Ngozi's name flash across the screen. Before I could answer, Chidi was there, his hand covering mine. Don't, he warned. She's my sister. And if you tell her about me, about what I am, the pact will be broken. His eyes bored into mine. Every protection your family has received will be stripped away. Your father's business will collapse within a month. Your mother's cancer will return. Your sister will lose her scholarship to that medical school in London. Everything. Tears streamed down my face. You can't do this to me. You can't make me choose between my family and my sanity. I'm not making you choose anything, Chidi said quietly. The choice was made generations ago. I'm just asking you to honor it. I answered Ngozi's call, my voice shaking. Hello? Ada! Finally! My sister's cheerful voice cut through my despair like a knife. I've been calling all morning. Mama wants to know if you and Chidi are coming for Sunday dinner. She's making your favorite, Ofe and Sala with stockfish. I looked at Chidi, at the man who held my family's fate in his inhuman hands. We'll be there, I heard myself say. Tell Mama we wouldn't miss it. When I hung up, the silence in our bedroom was deafening. Good, Chidi said, releasing my hand. Your family loves you, Adanna. They're proud of you, of this marriage. Don't destroy that over something you can't change. I hate you, I whispered. I know. He walked toward the bathroom. But you'll learn to accept this. In time, you might even understand. Never, I promised. I will never accept what you are. He paused at the bathroom door, his back to me. Then we're both going to be very unhappy for a very long time. After he left for work, because apparently snake spirit creatures still had board meetings, I sat on our bed and cried, not the delicate tears of a heartbroken woman in a movie, but ugly, choking sobs that made my chest ache. How had my life become this nightmare? 3 years ago, I'd been happy, simple. I worked at a decent firm, lived in a modest flat in Surulere with 2 roommates, and saved money for my own business someday. Then Chidi had appeared at Ngozi's wedding, impossibly handsome in his navy agbada, and everything had changed. He'd pursued me relentlessly. Flowers every week, phone calls that lasted hours, surprise visits to my office with lunch from my favorite restaurant. Within 6 months, he'd proposed in front of my entire family at Christmas dinner, presenting a diamond ring that probably cost more than my yearly salary. Everyone had been so happy. Mama had cried tears of joy. Papa had clapped Chidi on the back, calling him son. Ngozi had squealed and immediately started planning the wedding. And I'd said yes because I'd loved him, because he'd made me feel special, chosen, treasured. Now I knew the truth. I hadn't been chosen. I'd been selected, like livestock, like property. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from Chidi. Driver will pick you up at 2 p.m. We have the charity gala tonight. Wear the emerald dress. I threw my phone across the room, watching it bounce harmlessly on our plush carpet. A charity gala. Of course, because Chidi Okafor was Lagos's most eligible bachelor turned devoted husband. We had to maintain appearances. We had to smile for the cameras while I died inside. I walked to our closet, a room larger than my old flat in Surulere, and found the emerald dress. Chidi had bought it for me last month, saying the color matched my eyes. I'd kissed him, grateful for his thoughtfulness. Now I wanted to burn it, but I didn't. Because burning dresses wouldn't save my family. Running away wouldn't protect my mother or save my father's business or keep my sister in medical school. I was trapped in a cage made of love and obligation, married to something that wasn't human, bound by a pact I'd never agreed to. And the worst part, some small, traitorous part of my heart still remembered how Chidi had made me laugh on our first date, how he'd held me when my grandmother died, how he'd whispered that he'd love me forever on our wedding night. Had any of it been real? Or was I just an obligation to him, a checkbox on some supernatural contract? I looked at myself in the full-length mirror, thankfully just a regular mirror, not the cursed one from yesterday. I saw a woman who'd thought she had everything: a billionaire husband, a luxury penthouse, designer clothes, and respect from Lagos high society. But I had nothing. I was nothing, just a human girl trapped in a monster's world. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. Do you think Adanna should stay or risk everything to leave? Comment below. The charity gala was held at the Eco Hotel, and I played my part perfectly. I smiled. I laughed at the right moments. I held Chidi's arm as we posed for photographs, the emerald dress clinging to my body like a second skin. To everyone watching, we were the perfect couple, the powerful billionaire and his beautiful wife, united in philanthropic generosity. No one saw the way I flinched when Chidi touched my waist. No one noticed how I avoided looking directly at him, terrified I might see something inhuman lurking beneath his handsome facade. "You're doing wonderfully," he whispered in my ear as we walked through the crowd. To anyone watching, it would look like an intimate moment between loving spouses. "Go to hell," I whispered back, my smile never faltering. His grip on my waist tightened briefly, a warning, then relaxed. "We'll talk about your attitude when we get home." The threat should have terrified me. Instead, it ignited something dangerous inside me. Anger. Pure, burning rage that I'd been suppressing since last night. Throughout the evening, I kept thinking about that mirror, the way it had revealed Chidi's true nature when nothing else could. If one cursed object could show the truth, maybe there were others. Maybe there was a way to break this supernatural pact, to free myself and my family. Maybe there was a way to fight back. "Mrs. Okafor," a woman's voice cut through my thoughts. I turned to see Chioma Adelek, wife of the oil minister, approaching with champagne flutes in hand. "You look absolutely radiant tonight. That dress is stunning." "Thank you," I said automatically, accepting the champagne. "You look beautiful yourself." We fell into the easy small talk that defined these events: fashion, upcoming social gatherings, whose children were studying abroad. But my mind was elsewhere, cataloging details, making plans. If Chidi was Ijele, some kind of guardian spirit or shapeshifter, then there had to be others who knew about his kind. The woman who'd sold me that mirror at Lekki Market, she'd known something. The way her eyes had widened when I'd picked it up, the way she'd tried to warn me before Chidi had appeared and paid triple the asking price without haggling. She'd known. "Adanna," Chioma touched my arm gently. "Are you all right? You seem distant tonight." I refocused on her face, seeing genuine concern there. Chioma and I weren't close friends, but we moved in the same social circles. We attended the same events, supported the same charities, smiled through the same exhausting performances of wealth and status. "I'm fine," I lied. "Just tired. Chidi's been working late on the new development project in Lekki, and I've barely seen him." "Men and their work," Chioma sighed sympathetically. "My husband is the same. Sometimes I wonder if I married a man or his briefcase." We laughed together, but something in her tone made me pause. There was an edge to her words, a bitterness that resonated with my own hidden pain. "Chioma," I said carefully. Can I ask you something personal? She raised an eyebrow. Of course. Do you ever feel like— I searched for words that wouldn't sound insane. Like your husband is hiding something from you? Something important? Her expression shifted, became guarded. What do you mean? Never mind. I shook my head, cursing my carelessness. I'm just being paranoid. Too much champagne, probably. Adanna. Kioma glanced around quickly, then leaned closer. Meet me in the ladies' room in 5 minutes. 3rd floor near the west wing. Come alone. Before I could respond, she glided away, rejoining her husband with practiced ease. My heart raced. What did she know? Why the secrecy? I waited exactly 5 minutes, watching the time tick by on my diamond-encrusted watch. Another gift from Chidi, another beautiful chain binding me to him. Then I made my excuses to the women I'd been chatting with and headed toward the restrooms. Chidi intercepted me near the entrance. Where are you going? Bathroom, I said coolly. Or do I need your permission for that too? His jaw tightened. Don't be long. Senator Okonkwo wants to discuss the housing project. I'll be 5 minutes, I promised, pulling free from his grip. The 3rd floor ladies' room was empty except for Kioma, who stood by the marble sinks, reapplying her lipstick. When I entered, she checked the stalls quickly, confirming we were alone. What's going on? I asked. I know, she said simply, meeting my eyes in the mirror. Know what? About your husband, about what he is. Kioma turned to face me directly. My husband is one too, a guardian spirit. He calls himself Agwu, a trickster deity who takes human form. The room seemed to spin. You know? For 2 years now, she said bitterly. I found out by accident, just like you probably did. Saw his true form reflected in water during a trip to our hometown. He had horns, Adanna, horns and eyes like molten gold. I grabbed the counter to steady myself. How do you live with it? Because I have no choice, Kioma said, her voice hollow. My husband made the same threats yours probably did. My family, my children, everything I love would be destroyed if I left or told anyone. So I smile, I play the devoted wife, and I slowly die inside every single day. Tears burned my eyes. There has to be a way out. There has to be something we can do. I've looked, she said. For 2 years, I've searched for answers. I've consulted Babalawo, visited churches, even contacted a professor at the University of Lagos who studies folklore. Nothing works. These creatures, these Ijele and Agwu, and whatever else they call themselves, they're bound by ancient laws, ancient pacts. Breaking those pacts has consequences. What kind of consequences? Kioma's face went pale. 6 months ago, I met another woman at a private clinic in Ikoyi. She'd been married to one of them too, a water spirit called Mami Wata. She tried to leave, tried to break the pact. Her husband didn't stop her, but she swallowed hard. Her entire family died in a car accident 3 days later. All of them. Parents, siblings, even her young niece. The investigators called it break failure, but she knew the truth. Horror washed over me. That's murder. It's consequence, Kioma corrected grimly. That's how they see it. The pacts demand balance. Protection in exchange for union. Break the union, lose the protection. And without protection, she made a gesture of finality. Bad things happen to the people we love. I thought of Mama, currently in remission from cancer that should have killed her. Of Papa's business, miraculously successful despite economic downturns. Of Ngozi, brilliant and thriving in her medical studies. All of it because of Chidi. All of it built on a foundation of supernatural manipulation. So we're just prisoners, I said numbly. Forever. Unless, Kioma hesitated, then reached into her purse and pulled out a card. There's someone, a woman in Badagry who specializes in breaking supernatural bonds. I haven't contacted her yet because I'm afraid, but she pressed the card into my hand. If you're braver than me, maybe you can find a way. I looked at the card. No name, just a phone number written in neat handwriting. What if it doesn't work? I asked. Then we keep living this lie, Kioma said sadly. And we hope that one day we'll stop remembering what it felt like to be free. We stood in silence, 2 women trapped in golden cages, married to monsters wearing human faces. I should get back, Kioma finally said. My husband gets suspicious if I'm gone too long. Be careful, Adanna. These creatures, they can sense when we're planning something. They can read intentions in ways humans can't. After she left, I stared at the card in my hand. A phone number, a potential way out, or a path to something even worse. I tucked the card into my bra, the only place Chidi wouldn't accidentally find it, and returned to the gala. He was exactly where I'd left him, discussing real estate development with Senator Okonkwo and several other powerful men. When he saw me, he smiled, that warm, loving smile that had made me fall for him 3 years ago. Now it just made me sick. There you are, my love, he said, extending his hand. The senator was just asking about our anniversary trip next month. I took his hand, feeling the warmth of his skin, seeing nothing but humanity in his features. But I knew the truth. Beneath that handsome exterior lurked something ancient, something powerful, something that had trapped me in a supernatural contract I'd never signed. The Maldives, I said automatically, playing my part. We leave in 3 weeks. The men laughed and congratulated us, and I smiled until my face hurt. But inside I was planning. The woman in Badagry, the mirror from Lekki Market. Chioma's warning about consequences. I would find a way out of this nightmare. I would find a way to break the pact, to free myself, to protect my family without being Chidi's prisoner, even if it killed me. That night, as Chidi drove us home through Lagos's late-night traffic, I watched his profile in the dashboard light. He looked tired, human, vulnerable. When we stopped at a red light, he reached over and squeezed my hand. I know you're angry, he said quietly. I know you feel betrayed, but I meant what I said this morning. I do love you, Adanna. That's real, even if nothing else is. I wanted to believe him. God help me. Part of me still wanted to believe that the man I'd married existed somewhere beneath the monster. But love built on lies wasn't love at all. Take me home, I said, pulling my hand away. I'm tired. He didn't argue. He just drove, and I watched Lagos blur past my window, a city full of people living normal lives, unaware that monsters walked among them wearing human skin. When we reached our building, the security guard greeted us warmly. Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. Okafor. How was the gala? Wonderful, Ibrahim, Chidi replied easily. How's your daughter? Did she get into that university? Yes, sir. Thanks to your recommendation letter. We're so grateful. More kindness, more generosity, more evidence that Chidi wasn't a complete monster, which somehow made everything worse. In our bedroom, I changed out of the emerald dress and into my nightgown. My movements mechanical. The card from Chioma felt like it was burning against my skin, a secret promise of potential freedom. Chidi watched me from the bed. Come here. No. Adanna. I said no. I spun to face him. You can threaten my family, you can trap me in this marriage, but you can't make me pretend everything is fine when we're alone. Not anymore. He stood slowly, and for a moment I saw something flicker across his face. Genuine pain, maybe, or regret. I never wanted it to be like this, he said softly. I wanted you to love me without knowing. I wanted to give you a good life, to make you happy. That was always the plan. Well, your plan failed, I said bitterly, because now I know the truth, and I can never unknow it. Then what do you want from me? His voice rose, frustration breaking through his usual control. You want me to let you go? To release your family from protection and watch everything collapse? Is that what would make you happy? I want to have never met you, I screamed. I want my old life back. I want to be free. The silence that followed was absolute. Then Chidi turned and walked out of the bedroom, leaving me alone with my rage and despair and the phone number hidden against my heart. Tomorrow, I decided. Tomorrow I would call the woman in Badagry. Tomorrow I would start fighting back. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. Should Adanna risk contacting the woman in Badagry? Comment your thoughts below. I called the number 3 days later, standing in the parking lot of a shopping mall in Ijele, far enough from our building that Chidi couldn't possibly overhear. My hands shook as I dialed. The phone rang twice before a woman's voice answered, deep and resonant. You found my number. That means you're in trouble. My name is Adanna Okafor, I said quickly. My husband is... I know what your husband is, she interrupted. Ijele, guardian spirit, shapeshifter bound by ancient pacts. You're not the first woman to call me with this problem, and you won't be the last. Relief flooded through me. Can you help me? Can you break the pact? Maybe, she said carefully. But it will cost you. Not money, something more valuable. And there are no guarantees. Breaking supernatural bonds is dangerous work, especially with the Ijele. They've been making these pacts for millennia. I don't care about the danger, I said desperately. I just need to be free. Freedom always has a price, child. The woman, I still didn't know her name, sighed heavily. Come to Badagry on Saturday. Alone. Tell no one where you're going. The address is 47 Akron Street, behind the old Brazilian barracoon. Bring something that belonged to your husband before you married him. Something personal, something he valued. How will that help? Objects carry memory, carry power. If I'm going to break his hold on you, I need to understand the depth of the connection. She paused. And Adanna, if you're having second thoughts, don't come. Once we start this process, there's no going back. Either you break free, or the consequences will be worse than staying married to him. The line went dead. I stood in that parking lot, surrounded by the sounds of Lagos life. Car horns, vendors shouting, music blaring from a nearby shop, and I made my decision. Saturday, I would go Saturday. The next 3 days were torture. I played the dutiful wife, attended dinners with Chidi's business associates, even accompanied him to his mother's house in Ikoyi for Sunday lunch. His mother, Ijele Okafor, was a formidable woman in her 60s, elegant and sharp-eyed. You're looking thin, Adanna, she observed over plates of jollof rice and grilled fish. Are you eating properly? I'm fine, Ma, I lied, forcing myself to take another bite. Marriage requires strength, she continued, her gaze piercing, especially marriage into this family. We have particular responsibilities, particular expectations. I nearly choked on my rice. Did she know? Was she one of them too? Or just a human woman who'd married into this supernatural nightmare? Mama, Chidi interjected smoothly, Adanna is perfectly healthy. She's just been busy with the charity foundation work. Izine didn't look convinced, but she let it drop. Later, as we drove home, Chidi said quietly, My mother likes you. That's rare. She didn't approve of most of the women I dated before you. Lucky me, I muttered. She knows, by the way, he added, glancing at me, about what I am. She's known since she married my father 50 years ago. She chose to stay, to honor the pact her own grandmother made. She's been happy. Good for her, I said coldly. Maybe she's stronger than me, or maybe she's just better at lying to herself. Chidi's jaw tightened, but he didn't respond. That night, while he was in his study working on contracts, I searched our apartment for something that had belonged to him before our marriage. Most of his possessions were new. Chidi had expensive tastes and replaced things frequently. But finally, in the back of his closet, I found a small wooden box. Inside was a photograph of a young Chidi, maybe 20 years old, standing with an older man who looked remarkably like him. His father, probably. Both were dressed in traditional attire, and around Chidi's neck was a pendant, a carved piece of jade shaped like a coiled serpent. My hands trembled as I searched further in the box, and there it was, wrapped in soft cloth, the pendant from the photograph. I pocketed it quickly, my heart racing. This was personal. This was from before he'd ever met me, before the pact had trapped me in his world. This would work. It had to work. Saturday arrived with typical Lagos chaos. Traffic, noise, the thick heat that made everything feel slower and heavier. I told Chidi I was going shopping with my sister, that we'd be gone all day. Take the driver, he said, not looking up from his laptop. Ngozi wants to drive, I lied smoothly. She just got her new car and wants to show it off. He glanced at me then, his eyes searching my face for something. For a terrifying moment, I thought he could see through my deception, could read my intentions the way Kioma had warned. But then he nodded. Be safe. Call me if you need anything. I will, I promised, kissing his cheek the way a loving wife should. The gesture made me nauseous. Ngozi did pick me up, but she had no idea where we were really going. Badagry? She asked, confused as I directed her away from the shopping districts. Ada, what's in Badagry? I need to see someone, I said vaguely. About spiritual matters. Spiritual matters? My sister's eyes widened. Are you pregnant? Are you going to see a prophet for fertility prayers? Oh my God, Mama will be so excited. I'm not pregnant, I said quickly. And don't tell Mama anything. Please, Ngozi, this is private. She looked hurt but agreed. Fine, but you're buying me lunch afterward, and you're telling me what's really going on. The drive took over an hour, Lagos sprawling into smaller towns, and eventually to the coastal city of Badagry. The old Brazilian barracoon, a former slave port turned museum, stood as a grim reminder of history's horrors. Behind it, narrow streets wound between weathered buildings. Number 47 Akron Street was a small compound with faded blue walls. An elderly woman sat outside, braiding a young girl's hair. She looked up as we approached, her eyes sharp and knowing. Wait in the car, I told Ngozi. Ada, please. My voice was firmer than I'd intended. I won't be long. The elderly woman sent the girl inside and gestured for me to follow. The compound was simple but clean, with a central courtyard and rooms branching off on all sides. She led me to one room, empty except for a woven mat and a small table with various objects. Shells, bones, herbs, mirrors. You brought it? She asked without preamble. I pulled out Chidi's pendant. She took it carefully, holding it up to the light streaming through the window. Her expression darkened. This is powerful, she murmured. Very old magic. The Ijele who owned this is not weak, not young. He's been in human form for decades. Maybe longer. Can you break the pact? I asked desperately. She set the pendant on the table and studied me. The pact isn't just between you and your husband, child. It's between your entire bloodline and his. Breaking it will sever all protections your family has received. Your mother's health, your father's business, your sister's opportunities, all of it will vanish. And worse, breaking a pact this old will anger the other spirits. They may seek compensation. Compensation? My blood ran cold. What kind of compensation? Blood for blood, she said simply. When supernatural debts are broken, the universe demands balance. Someone always pays. I thought of Kioma's story about the woman whose family died in a car accident. How do I protect them? You can't, she said bluntly. Not completely, but there are ways to minimize the damage. Transfer some of the debt to yourself instead of spreading it across your family. How? She picked up a small knife from the table, its blade glinting wickedly. Blood sacrifice. Your blood given willingly to acknowledge the debt and accept the consequences. The spirits will take from you first, your health, your luck, maybe even your future, but your family will be spared the worst of it. My mouth went dry. I could die. Yes, she agreed. Or you could live but suffer. Chronic illness, bad fortune, loneliness. The spirits are creative in their punishments. She leaned forward. Or you could walk away right now, go back to your husband, and live a comfortable life in a golden cage. Many women choose that path. There's no shame in it. I thought about Chidi, about the way he'd looked at me this morning. Casual and confident, secure in the knowledge that I couldn't leave. About Kioma's hollow eyes and bitter voice. About spending the next 50 years like Azine, smiling through a lie. Do it, I said. Break the pact. The woman studied me for a long moment, then nodded. Give me your hand. I extended my right hand, and she took it firmly. The knife moved quickly, slicing across my palm. Blood welled up, bright red against my brown skin. She pressed my bleeding hand against Chidi's pendant, murmuring words in a language I didn't recognize. The air in the room grew thick, oppressive. The pendant began to glow with an eerie green light, and I felt something inside me, some invisible chain I hadn't even known was there, begin to crack. Then the pain hit. It felt like my entire body was being torn apart from the inside. I screamed, trying to pull my hand away, but the woman held firm. Stay still, she commanded. The pact is breaking, but it fights back. Through my tears, I saw the pendant crack down the middle. The green light flared, blindingly bright, then vanished. I collapsed onto the mat, gasping, my hand throbbing. It's done, the woman said quietly, wrapping my palm in clean cloth. The pact is broken. You're free. What happens now? I asked weakly. Now you live with the consequences, she said. Your husband will know immediately that something has changed. The bond between you has been severed. He can't control you anymore, can't threaten your family with the loss of protection. But, she hesitated, the other spirits will be watching, and they won't be happy. I struggled to my feet, swaying slightly. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, she said grimly. You've chosen a hard path, child. I hope you're strong enough to walk it. When I stumbled back to the car, Ngozi took one look at my bandaged hand and pale face and gasped. Ada, what happened? Just drive, I said. Please, just take me home. She didn't argue, pulling out of Badagry with worried glances in my direction. My phone rang. Chidi's name flashed across the screen. My hand, the uninjured one, trembled as I answered. Hello? What did you do? His voice was low, dangerous, barely controlled. Adanna, what the hell did you do? I freed myself, I said, and despite everything, I felt a surge of triumph. The pact is broken, Chidi. You can't control me anymore. The silence on the other end was absolute. Then, you have no idea what you've just done. No idea what's coming. I'm done being afraid of you, I said, my voice stronger now. I'm coming home to get my things, and then I'm leaving. For good. If you come back here, Chidi said, and his voice had that layered quality again, that inhuman sound that made my skin crawl. You won't leave alive. Do you understand me? You've broken sacred laws, destroyed centuries of tradition. The consequences will be... I hung up. Ngozi was staring at me. Ada, what is going on? Who was that? Why did Chidi sound like that? Just drive faster, I begged. Please, Ngozi, I'll explain everything, but right now I just need you to drive. She pressed harder on the gas, and Lagos blurred past us as we raced back to the city. I'd done it. I'd actually done it. I was free. But as we drove, dark clouds gathered overhead despite the morning forecast promising clear skies. Thunder rumbled in the distance, deep and ominous, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd just started a war I had no idea how to win. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. Was Adanna right to break the pact, or did she just make everything worse? Comment below. The storm hit before we reached Victoria Island. Rain pounded the car so hard Ngozi could barely see the road. Lightning split the sky in jagged patterns that looked almost deliberate, almost purposeful. And the thunder, God, the thunder sounded like roaring, like something ancient and furious had been awakened. This is insane, Ngozi shouted over the noise, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. The weather report said it would be sunny all day. I said nothing, just clutched my bandaged hand and watched the sky tear itself apart. This was my doing. The woman in Badagry had warned me. Breaking the pact would anger the spirits. I just hadn't expected their response to be so immediate, so violent. When we finally reached my building, the security guard Ibrahim was nowhere to be seen. The gate stood open, swinging wildly in the wind. Every instinct screamed at me not to go inside, but I needed my documents, my passport, whatever money I'd hidden away for emergencies. I'm coming with you, Ngozi said when I opened the car door. No, I grabbed her arm. Stay here, please. If I'm not back in 20 minutes, drive away and don't look back. Ada, you're scaring me. 20 minutes, I repeated, then ran into the building before she could argue. The elevator was out, of course it was. I took the stairs to the penthouse level, my wet shoes slipping on the marble. With each floor, the temperature seemed to drop, my breath misting in front of my face despite the tropical heat outside. Our apartment door was already open. I stepped inside slowly, water dripping from my clothes onto our expensive imported tiles. Chidi? He stood in our living room, but he wasn't alone. 3 other figures were with him, 2 men and a woman, all dressed in traditional attire that seemed to shimmer and shift in the dim light. I didn't need a mirror to know what they were. Their otherness radiated from them like heat. You broke the pact, the woman said, her voice melodious and terrible. She looked young, maybe 30, but her eyes were ancient. Do you understand what you've done, human child? I freed myself, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I'm not bound to him anymore. You were never just bound to him, one of the men said. His skin had a faint greenish tint, and when he moved, I heard the sound of water. You were bound to all of us, to the covenant made between your bloodline and ours. Your great-grandmother swore an oath in exchange for protection. That oath was sealed in blood and witnessed by the old gods themselves. An oath I never made, I shot back. I never agreed to any of this. The daughter inherits the mother's debts, the second man said. He was larger, with skin like polished obsidian, and when he spoke, I smelled burning earth. This is our way. This has always been our way. Chidi had been silent throughout this exchange, just watching me with an expression I couldn't read. Now he stepped forward. Leave us. I'll handle this. Handle this? The woman laughed, and it sounded like wind chimes and breaking glass. She broke a centuries-old pact, Chidi. There are consequences. The balance must be restored. I said I'll handle it, he repeated, and his voice carried such authority that even these ancient beings hesitated. Finally, they nodded. You have until dawn, the woman said. If the balance isn't restored by then, we will restore it ourselves, and we will not be as merciful as you might be. They vanished, didn't walk away, didn't leave through the door, just dissolved into air and shadow. The temperature in the room returned to normal, but the fear in my chest remained ice cold. You have to leave Lagos, Chidi said without preamble. Tonight. Right now. I stared at him. What? The pact is broken, but they're right. Balance must be restored. They'll come for your family, Adanna, your mother, your father, your sister. Everyone who benefited from the protection will pay the price unless... He stopped, his jaw clenching. Unless what? Unless I give them something else, he said quietly. Something of equal value. What could possibly be equal value to an entire family's protection? He met my eyes, and I saw something in them I'd never seen before. Resignation, defeat, me, my freedom, my position among the Ijele. I shook my head, confused. I don't understand. I'm important to them, Chidi explained. Powerful. I've maintained dozens of pacts, managed relationships between our world and the human world for over a century. If I surrender that role, if I give up my place among them and agree to live as fully human, mortal, powerless, bound by human limitations, they'll consider the debt paid. You'd do that, I asked, stunned. Give up everything you are? To protect you? To protect your family? His smile was sad. Yes. Despite everything, despite how much you hate me now, I meant what I said. I love you, Adanna. That was never a lie. Tears blurred my vision. But if you become human, I'll die like humans die, he finished, in decades instead of millennia. I'll grow old, get sick, lose my strength. Everything I've been for over 100 years will just end. He walked to the window, staring out at the storm. But your family will be safe. The protection will remain because I'll have paid the price for breaking the covenant. This is insane, I whispered. You can't give up immortality for me. Can't I? He turned back to me, and his expression was raw, vulnerable in a way I'd never seen. You broke a supernatural pact to escape me. That took extraordinary courage. The least I can do is show the same courage to protect you from the consequences. I wanted to hate him. I wanted to rage at him for the lies, the manipulation, the trap he'd built around my life. But looking at him now, really looking at him, I saw something I'd missed before. He was as trapped as I'd been, bound by duties and expectations that stretched back centuries, forced into a role he'd never chosen, just like me. There has to be another way, I said. There isn't. Chidi pulled out his phone, typing something quickly. I'm transferring everything to you. The accounts, the properties, the business holdings. It's all yours now. Use it to take care of your family, to build whatever life you want. Chidi, and take this. He removed his wedding ring, pressing it into my uninjured hand. Sell it if you need to, or keep it, or throw it in the ocean. I don't care. Just promise me something. What? Promise me you'll be happy, he said simply. Promise me that all of this, the pain, the deception, the sacrifices, will have been worth it because you got to live the life you wanted. I looked down at the ring, heavy gold with an intricate pattern I'd never noticed before. In the center was a small inscription, for eternal protection. Not love, not devotion, protection. Even our wedding rings had been part of the pact. I can't let you do this, I said, but my voice lacked conviction. It's already done, Chidi said. I told them before you arrived. By dawn, I'll be human. The pact will be fulfilled. Your family will be safe. And what happens to you? He shrugged. I'll figure it out. Humans do it every day, don't they? Wake up, go to work, live their temporary little lives. I'll learn. Despite everything, despite all the lies and betrayal, I felt my heart break for him. I'm sorry, I whispered. Don't be, he said. You wanted freedom. You fought for it. That's more honest than I've been in a very long time. He walked to the door, pausing with his hand on the frame. Your sister is waiting downstairs. Go to her. Leave Lagos for a while. Maybe go abroad until things settle. The other Ijele will be angry, but without me managing the human relationships, they'll be too busy scrambling to come after you. Where will you go? Does it matter? He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Goodbye, Adanna. I hope you find what you're looking for. He left, and I stood alone in our penthouse apartment. My apartment now, apparently, surrounded by the remnants of a life built on supernatural deception. My phone buzzed. A notification from the bank. Multiple accounts had just been transferred into my name. Tens of millions of Naira. Enough to keep my family comfortable for generations. Blood money, freedom money, the price of breaking free from a monster who loved me. I grabbed what I needed, documents, clothes, a few photos of my family, and left. Left the penthouse, left the building, left the life I'd built as Mrs. Okafor. Ngozi was still in the car, soaked and terrified. Ada, finally. What happened? Where's Chidi? Gone, I said simply. He's gone. She wanted to ask more questions, but something in my face stopped her. She just drove, taking us away from Victoria Island, away from the storm, away from everything. 3 months later. I stood on the balcony of our new house in Abuja, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and gold. Mama was in the kitchen, her cancer still in remission, humming as she prepared dinner. Papa was in his study, his business still thriving, despite my fears. And Ngozi was at the dining table, studying for her medical exams in London. All safe, all protected, all because Chidi had kept his word. I tried to find him once, about a month after I'd left Lagos. I'd hired a private investigator who'd tracked him to a small apartment in Surulere, the same neighborhood where I'd lived before we met. He was working as an accountant at a mid-level firm, living a completely ordinary life. The investigator had taken photos. In them, Chidi looked tired, older somehow, as if mortality was already weighing on him. But he looked peaceful too, like a burden had been lifted. I never contacted him. What would I say? Thank you for giving up immortality so I could be free? Sorry for destroying your entire existence? There were no words for what had passed between us. Kioma had called me last week. Her husband was still around, still pretending to be human, still maintaining the charade. I wish I had your courage, she'd said wistfully, but I can't do what you did. I can't risk it. I understand, I told her, and I did. Freedom always had a price. Not everyone could afford to pay it. My phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. The debt is paid. The balance is restored. You are truly free now. Use your freedom wisely. A friend. I didn't know which of the Ijele had sent it, but it didn't matter. The message was clear. My war with the supernatural world was over. I'd won in the most complicated, painful way possible. That night, I took out Chidi's wedding ring. I'd kept it after all, and held it up to the light. The inscription glowed faintly, for eternal protection. He'd protected me, even from himself, even at the cost of everything he was. Maybe that was love in its own twisted, complicated way. Not the fairy tale version I'd dreamed of as a girl, but something rawer, more honest. Love that acknowledged the darkness and chose sacrifice anyway. I slipped the ring onto a chain and wore it around my neck, hidden under my clothes. Not as a wedding ring, never that again, but as a reminder. A reminder that freedom was worth fighting for, that no cage, no matter how golden, was worth my soul, and that sometimes the monsters in our lives were more human than we wanted to admit. Somewhere in Lagos, in a small apartment in Surulere, Chidi was living his temporary, powerless, beautifully ordinary human life. I hoped he was finding his own version of freedom. I hoped he didn't regret his choice. And I hoped someday he would forgive me for being the catalyst that destroyed and saved us both. Ada, Mama called from inside. Dinner is ready. Come eat before it gets cold. Coming, Mama, I called back, tucking the ring under my shirt. I walked inside to join my family, my safe, healthy, protected family, and closed the door on the woman I'd been. The woman who'd married a monster and learned she had a monster strength inside her too. The woman who'd broken supernatural chains and lived to tell the tale. The woman who was finally completely, impossibly free. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more incredible stories like this. Did Adanna make the right choice? Would you have done the same? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Where are you watching from? Let us know. Thank you for joining us on this journey through African Tales Vault. If you love this story, check out our playlist for more dramatic tales of love, betrayal, and redemption. Hit that bell icon so you never miss our next upload. Until next time, remember, sometimes the greatest courage is knowing when to break free, no matter the cost. Stay blessed.